the harsh truth nobody wants to hear. We live in a world that constantly tells us we deserve more. More money, more respect, more love, more success. Social media feeds us a steady diet of "you deserve better" and "know your worth" messages. But here's the uncomfortable truth that ancient Stoic philosophers understood 2,000 years ago: you don't actually deserve most of what you want. And that feeling of deserving things you're not getting? It's making you miserable. Think about the last time you felt genuinely wronged by life. Maybe you didn't get that promotion you worked so hard for. Perhaps someone you loved left you despite all you did for them. Or maybe you're just tired of watching everyone else seemingly get handed the success and happiness you've been chasing. That burning sense of injustice, that voice screaming, "This isn't fair," that's entitlement talking. And according to the Stoics, it's based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how life actually works. The ancient Stoic philosophers Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus faced the same human struggles we do today. They dealt with loss, disappointment, and unmet expectations. But they discovered something profound. The problem isn't that life fails to give us what we deserve. The problem is believing we deserve things in the first place. This isn't about self-hatred or thinking you're worthless. It's about understanding a liberating truth that can free you from the constant disappointment of unmet expectations. Every day, millions of people wake up feeling cheated by life. They scroll through their phones, comparing their reality to everyone else's highlight reel. They go to jobs where they feel undervalued and underappreciated. They come home to relationships that don't match the fairy tales they were promised. And with each disappointment, the resentment builds. Why is life so unfair? Why does everyone else seem to have it easier? When is it finally going to be my turn? But what if this entire framework is wrong? What if the very idea that you deserve certain things, that life owes you happiness, success, or fairness, is the exact thinking that's keeping you trapped in misery? The Stoics would argue that it is, and they had compelling reasons backed by logic and practical wisdom. In this video, we're going to explore why your sense of entitlement is the source of your suffering, not the solution to it. We'll discover what the Stoics taught about what we actually own versus what we think we deserve. Most importantly, we'll learn practical strategies for finding genuine contentment in a world that seems determined to disappoint us. By the end, you'll understand why letting go of what you think you deserve might be the key to finally getting the peace of mind you've been searching for. This journey begins with a story from ancient Rome that perfectly illustrates how even back then, people struggled with the same feelings of loss and entitlement that plague us today. But as you'll see, the Stoic response to these feelings was radically different from what modern culture teaches us. 1. When life takes everything away. Imagine this: you're living in Manhattan and you've spent the last 15 years building your dream life. You've got the corner office, the Upper East Side apartment, the investment portfolio that was supposed to secure your future. Then, in a single day, it all vanishes. A fire tears through your building while you're at work. By the time you get home, everything you own is ash. Your insurance company finds a loophole. Your savings are tied up in investments that just crashed. In one afternoon, you go from having everything to having nothing. This is exactly what happened to David, a Wall Street executive who thought he had life figured out. As he stood on the sidewalk watching firefighters douse the smoking remains of his home, he felt something beyond grief. He felt robbed, cheated, as if the universe had personally betrayed him. "I worked for this," he kept repeating. "I earned this. I deserve better than this." 2,000 years ago, a similar scene played out in ancient Rome. A man named Tiberius approached the Stoic philosopher Epictetus with the same anguish. His house had burned down, taking all his possessions with it. But Epictetus' response would have seemed insane to modern ears. "You are grieving over things that were never truly yours," he said calmly. Tiberius, like David, was incredulous. How could his possessions not be his? He had worked for years to acquire them. He had the receipts, the deeds, the bank statements to prove ownership. But Epictetus shook his head and delivered a truth that cuts through centuries of human delusion. Everything in this world is borrowed. Our homes, our possessions, our loved ones, and even our bodies are nothing more than temporary gifts we take care of until the universe takes them away, which can happen at any moment. Think about that for a second. Your car, your house, your job, your relationships, even your own body, according to Epictetus, none of these are truly yours. They're on loan. You're just the temporary caretaker. And like any loan, they can be called in at any time without warning, without fairness, without consideration for how much you think you deserve to keep them. This isn't pessimism or nihilism. It's simply recognizing reality. How many people do you know who've lost jobs they thought were secure? How many relationships have ended despite one person doing everything right? How many healthy people have suddenly faced life-threatening diagnoses? The evidence is everywhere. Nothing external is guaranteed to stay with us. But here's where Epictetus offers hope. While we don't own any external things, we do own something far more valuable: our responses, our choices, our attitudes. You're only entitled to what's truly yours, he taught, which are your opinions, attitudes, pursuits, and whatever are your own actions and choices. No fire can burn these. No thief can steal them. No market crash can devalue them. David eventually learned this lesson. After months of rage and depression, he discovered Stoic philosophy. He realized that his suffering came not from losing his possessions, but from believing he was entitled to keep them forever. Once he accepted that everything external was always temporary, always borrowed, he found a peace that no fire could destroy. This shift in perspective changes everything. When you stop believing you own things permanently, you stop feeling robbed when they're taken away. You appreciate them while they're here, but you don't base your happiness on keeping them forever. It's the difference between enjoying a beautiful sunset and trying to trap it in a jar. The modern world makes this wisdom hard to accept. We're told from birth that success means accumulating things: wealth, property, achievements, relationships, and holding on to them tightly. We're encouraged to identify with our possessions, to see them as extensions of ourselves. You are what you own, society whispers. But this is exactly the thinking that sets us up for devastating loss. Consider how different your life would be if you truly accepted that everything external is on loan. Would you still work hard? Of course. Would you still care for your possessions and relationships? Absolutely. But you'd hold them lightly, enjoying them fully while they're here, ready to let go when their time comes. This isn't fatalism, it's freedom. The truth is, life has always worked this way. The only thing that's changed is our expectation that it should work differently. We've convinced ourselves that with enough effort, enough deserving, enough righteousness, we can make permanent what has always been temporary. But gravity doesn't care how hard you work or how good a person you are. Neither does fire, disease, economic downturns, or death. This is why Epictetus' teaching remains so powerful. He's not telling us to give up or stop caring. He's showing us how to engage with life fully without setting ourselves up for unnecessary suffering. When you know that your house is on loan, you can enjoy it without being destroyed when the loan is called in. When you understand that your job is temporary, you can excel at it without having your identity shattered if it ends. But if everything external is temporary and borrowed, why do we feel so strongly that we deserve certain things? Why does the sense of entitlement run so deep in human nature? The answer to that question reveals just how profoundly our modern culture has warped our thinking about what life owes us. 2. Why you feel so cheated all the time. Let's talk about Sarah from Chicago. She followed all the rules. Got straight A's in school, went to a good college, worked 60-hour weeks at her marketing firm. She watched her less qualified male colleagues get promoted while she got passed over. She saw friends who partied through college land, better jobs, through family connections. She did everything right, yet life seemed to reward everyone else. Every morning, she woke up with the same bitter thought, "I deserve better than this." Sound familiar? Sarah's not alone. Millions of people walk around feeling constantly cheated by life. They're good people who work hard, yet they watch bad things happen to them while seemingly undeserving people prosper. This sense of cosmic injustice eats at them daily, turning life into an endless grievance against an unfair universe. But here's what the Stoics understood. This feeling of being cheated isn't caused by life being unfair. It's caused by a fundamental delusion about how life works. We've been programmed to believe in a cosmic vending machine: insert good behavior, receive rewards. Work hard, achieve success. Be kind, receive kindness. Stay faithful, keep your relationship. But the universe isn't a vending machine, and it never signed a contract promising to reward your efforts. Modern society amplifies this delusion to dangerous levels. From childhood, we're fed a steady diet of entitlement. Participation trophies teach us that showing up means deserving rewards. Social media constantly reinforces that we deserve better relationships, better jobs, better lives. Self-help gurus preach that we can manifest whatever we want if we just believe hard enough. You deserve to be happy, they proclaim, as if happiness were a constitutional right rather than a fleeting emotion. Epictetus would have laughed at our modern entitlement epidemic, not from cruelty, but from recognizing its absurdity. He identified 3 types of entitlement that plague humanity, and they're just as relevant today as they were in ancient Rome. First, there's material entitlement, the belief that we deserve certain possessions or wealth. Sarah believed she deserved the promotion because she worked harder. But who decided that hard work automatically equals promotion? That's not a law of nature. It's a story we tell ourselves, then feel betrayed when reality doesn't follow our script. Second, there's social entitlement, the expectation that others should treat us in certain ways. We believe we deserve respect, kindness, and fair treatment from everyone we meet. But other people have their own free will, their own bad days, their own priorities that have nothing to do with what we think we deserve. When a stranger is rude to us, we take it personally, as if they violated some cosmic law about how we must be treated. Third, there's what we might call existential entitlement, the belief that life itself owes us certain experiences. We think we deserve to find our soulmate, to discover our passion, to live without tragedy or loss. We see others who seem to have these things and wonder why we've been singled out for deprivation. The Stoics identified 2 major problems with all forms of entitlement. First, it's based on a logical fallacy. There's no universal law stating that good behavior equals good outcomes. The universe doesn't keep a ledger of who deserves what. Rain falls on the just and unjust alike. This isn't cynicism. It's simply observation of how reality actually works versus how we wish it worked. The second problem is more personal. Entitlement guarantees misery. When you believe you deserve something, you've created a gap between expectation and reality. If you get what you think you deserve, you feel temporarily satisfied, not happy, just satisfied that the universe finally got it right. But when you don't get it, which is most of the time, you feel wronged, cheated, and victimized. You've set up a game where you can't really win, only temporarily avoid losing. Think about how this plays out in daily life. You believe you deserve a text back from someone you messaged. When it doesn't come, you spiral into anxiety and resentment. You think you deserve recognition for your work. When it doesn't come, you become bitter and disengaged. You believe you deserve an apology from someone who hurt you. When it doesn't come, you carry that wound forever, waiting for a resolution that may never arrive. The entitlement trap is especially vicious because it seems so reasonable. Aren't we taught that justice exists? Does that mean good things happen to good people? Does that hard work pay off? These are comforting stories, but the Stoics recognize them as just that, stories we tell ourselves to make sense of a chaotic world. Marcus Aurelius, who had every reason to feel entitled as Emperor of Rome, wrote in his private journal, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does, but only to what he does himself." He understood that comparing our outcomes to others, measuring what we have against what we think we deserve, is a recipe for endless dissatisfaction. The truth is, life doesn't owe you anything because life isn't a conscious entity making decisions about what you deserve. It's a complex system of cause and effect, chance and consequence, individual choices and random events. Sometimes good behavior is rewarded. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes bad people prosper. Sometimes they don't. There's no cosmic accounting department ensuring everyone gets what they deserve. This might sound depressing, but the Stoics saw it as liberating. Once you stop expecting life to follow your personal rulebook about what you deserve, you stop feeling constantly betrayed. You can work hard without demanding specific outcomes. You can be kind without expecting kindness in return. You can live virtuously for its own sake, not as a transaction with the universe. Sarah from Chicago eventually learned this lesson. After years of bitterness, she discovered Stoic philosophy and realized her misery came not from being passed over for promotions, but from believing she deserved them in the first place. She still worked hard, but now for the satisfaction of excellence itself, not for guaranteed rewards. Ironically, once she stopped feeling entitled to success, she found more peace and eventually more success than when she was demanding it from the universe. But if we don't deserve the things we want, if entitlement is a delusion, then what exactly do we own? What can we actually lay claim to in this borrowed existence? The answer might surprise you with how little it includes and how much power it actually gives you. 3. What you actually own. It's less than you think. Consider this. You wake up tomorrow and check your bank account. It's empty. Your car won't start. Your phone is dead. Your partner has left. Your job calls to say you're fired. Your body aches with sudden illness. In this nightmare scenario, what exactly do you still own? What remains that no external force can take from you? Most people would say nothing. They'd be wrong. And understanding why they're wrong is the key to unshakable peace of mind. Epictetus, who knew something about loss, he was born a slave and walked with a limp from a leg broken by his master, had a radical way of teaching this concept. He would hold up a ceramic cup and ask his students what they saw. "A cup?" they'd answer. "No," he'd correct them. "You see one ceramic cup among millions in the world. Fragile, temporary, already broken in the future, just not yet." This wasn't pessimism. It was precision. That cup, like everything external in your life, exists in a state of temporary wholeness. It will break. It will be lost. It will decay. The only question is when. And here's the crucial point. You don't own the cup. You don't own its future. You don't own its permanence. You temporarily possess its current form, nothing more. Now apply this thinking to everything you believe you own. Your house? You possess the current right to use it, subject to payments, taxes, natural disasters, economic changes, and legal systems, all outside your control. Your money? Numbers in a computer system run by banks that can fail, in currencies that can collapse, subject to laws that can change. Your relationships? You can't own another person's feelings, choices, or continued existence. Even your body, the thing that seems most fundamentally yours, isn't really owned by you in any permanent sense. Ask anyone who's dealt with a serious illness. The body does what it wants when it wants. You can influence it, care for it, but you can't command it to stay young, healthy, or even alive. It's on loan like everything else. This might trigger an existential crisis. If I don't own my possessions, my relationships, or even my body, what's left? What's the point? But this is exactly where Epictetus delivers the most empowering insight in all of philosophy. You own your will, your choices, your responses, your values, your efforts. These are yours in a way that nothing external can ever be. Let's make this concrete. You don't own your job, but you own your choice to work with integrity. You don't own your relationship, but you own your choice to love genuinely. You don't own your health, but you own your choice to take care of yourself. You don't own outcomes, but you own your intentions and efforts. Think about a professional athlete. They don't own victory. That depends on opponents, weather, luck, and countless variables. But they own their training, their preparation, their mental state, their effort during the game. The scoreboard isn't theirs. Their performance is. This distinction changes everything about how we approach life. When you truly grasp what you own versus what you borrow, you stop wasting energy trying to control the uncontrollable. You stop feeling entitled to outcomes and start focusing on what's actually yours, your character, your choices, your responses to whatever life brings. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world during his time, understood this deeply. He wrote, "Confine yourself to what depends on your will." Despite commanding legions and ruling an empire, he knew his actual ownership extended only to his own thoughts and choices. Everything else, his power, his wealth, his very life, was on temporary loan from fortune. But what about relationships? Surely we have some claim on the people we love. Epictetus addresses this with typical directness. When expressing love to family or friends, he advised remembering that we love mortal human beings. They can leave, change, or die. We don't own them or their feelings toward us. We own only our choice to love them, regardless of what they do in return. This hits hard in our possessive culture. We say, my wife, my children, my friends, as if these people belong to us. But they don't. They're independent beings with their own wills, making their own choices. When your teenager rebels, when your spouse grows distant, when your friend betrays you, these actions are theirs to own, not yours to control. A woman in Portland learned this the hard way. Jessica had built her entire identity around being a perfect mother. When her daughter became addicted to drugs despite Jessica's best efforts, she felt like a complete failure. She had done everything right. Private schools, therapy, endless support. How could this happen? The answer was simple. Jessica owned her efforts as a mother, but she didn't own her daughter's choices. She could provide love, resources, and guidance, but she couldn't reach into her daughter's mind and flip the sobriety switch. Once Jessica understood this distinction, she could continue loving and supporting her daughter without the crushing weight of believing she owned outcomes she couldn't control. This principle extends to how others treat us. When someone insults you, lies to you, or betrays you, what exactly has happened? They've exercised their will in a way you don't like. That's their property, their choice to be cruel or dishonest. Your property is your response. As Epictetus taught, it's not the person who calls you names or hits you who insults you. It's your own conclusion that these things are insulting. This isn't about becoming a doormat or accepting abuse. It's about clarity regarding what battle you're actually fighting. You can't control whether people respect you, but you can control whether you act respectably. You can't force others to treat you fairly, but you can choose to treat others fairly regardless. You can't own their behavior, but you completely own yours. The power in this philosophy is immense. When you stop trying to own what isn't yours, outcomes, other people's opinions, external circumstances, you can fully invest in what is yours. Your integrity, your effort, your kindness, your wisdom. These are possessions that no recession can devalue. No thief can steal. No disaster can destroy. But here's where modern life makes this wisdom difficult to practice. We're constantly encouraged to identify with our external possessions and circumstances. Your job becomes your identity. Your relationship status defines your worth. Your bank balance measures your success. We're taught to say, I am a lawyer instead of, I currently practice law. We believe, I am successful based on external metrics rather than internal virtues. The Stoics would say this is exactly backwards. You are not your job, your relationships, your possessions, or your circumstances. You are the consciousness making choices about how to respond to all these temporary external things. Your true possessions are internal, your character, your values, your will. Everything else is just borrowing. This leads to a practical question. If we own so little, if everything external is temporary and borrowed, how do we find happiness? How do we stop feeling the constant ache of wanting what we can't have? The answer lies not in acquiring more, but in radically changing our relationship with desire itself. For how to stop needing what you can't have. There's a successful lawyer in Los Angeles who drives a 20-year-old Honda Civic. He could afford a Ferrari, but twice a year he does something his colleagues think is insane. He spends a week living on $20, eating only rice and beans, wearing his oldest clothes, taking cold showers, and sleeping on his floor. His friends think he's lost his mind. His family worries about his mental health. But he says these are the best weeks of his year. This modern professional is following an ancient Stoic practice that Seneca, one of Rome's wealthiest men, pioneered 2,000 years ago. Seneca regularly practiced voluntary hardship, eating simple food, wearing rough clothes, sleeping without his usual comforts. Why would someone who could afford luxury choose discomfort? The answer reveals a powerful strategy for breaking free from the tyranny of desire. Seneca explained it perfectly. Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" He discovered that his fear of poverty was worse than poverty itself. By voluntarily experiencing what he dreaded losing, he freed himself from the desperate need to cling to wealth. The Los Angeles lawyer discovered the same truth. After his first voluntary hardship week, he sat in his expensive house and asked himself Seneca's question, "Is this what I was so afraid of?" The answer shocked him. Living simply wasn't horrible. It was just different. In some ways, it was even peaceful. No decisions about what to wear, no expensive meals to plan, no status to maintain. Just existence, stripped to its essence. This practice attacks the root of entitlement, our desperate need for things we don't have and our desperate fear of losing things we do have. When you know from experience that you can be content with almost nothing, the power of desire loosens its grip. You still enjoy comfort when you have it, but you're not enslaved by the need for it. But voluntary hardship is just one tool. The Stoics developed multiple strategies for breaking the chains of excessive desire. Another powerful technique is what Epictetus called discipline of desire, the practice of wanting what happens, rather than expecting what you want to happen. This sounds like giving up, but it's actually about aligning yourself with reality. Consider Rachel from Miami, who spent years furious that her husband wasn't more romantic. She'd drop hints about flowers, plan elaborate date nights he'd forget, and seethe when he didn't match her Hollywood-inspired expectations. Her desire for a different husband than the one she had was making both of them miserable. Then she discovered Epictetus' teaching. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. Instead of constantly wanting her husband to be different, she decided to want the husband she actually had, the one who showed love by fixing her car, making her laugh, and supporting her dreams, even if he never remembered anniversaries. This shift didn't make her husband more romantic. It made Rachel more peaceful. She stopped needing what she couldn't have, a Hollywood romance, and started appreciating what she did have, a solid, loving partnership. Her marriage improved not because her husband changed, but because her desperate need for him to change dissolved. The discipline of desire works in every area of life. Instead of needing perfect weather for your plans, you learn to want whatever weather appears. Instead of needing traffic to flow smoothly, you accept the traffic that exists. Instead of needing people to act according to your preferences, you work with how they actually act. This isn't passive resignation. It's active acceptance that frees your energy for what you can actually control. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, practiced this discipline daily. He wrote in his journal, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." He wasn't being cynical. He was freeing himself from the need for people to be different than they often are. By expecting difficulty, he wasn't disappointed by it. By not needing perfection, he wasn't disturbed by imperfection. But perhaps the most powerful Stoic strategy for reducing need is the practice of negative visualization, imagining loss before it happens. This sounds morbid to modern ears, but it's actually profoundly liberating. By mentally rehearsing loss, you accomplish two things. You appreciate what you have while you have it, and you prepare yourself emotionally for its eventual departure. A tech entrepreneur in Seattle practices this every morning. Before checking his phone, he spends 5 minutes imagining his company failing, his wealth disappearing, his health declining. This isn't pessimism, it's preparation. He then opens his eyes and feels genuine gratitude that these losses haven't happened yet. His business challenges seem smaller. His wealth feels like a bonus, not a necessity. His health becomes something to cherish, not take for granted. The Stoics understood that need comes from attachment, and attachment comes from the illusion of permanence. When you regularly remind yourself that everything is temporary, you naturally hold things more lightly. You can enjoy them fully without desperately needing to keep them forever. This philosophy transforms how we approach goals and ambitions. You can work toward success without needing it for happiness. You can pursue relationships without needing them to complete you. You can strive for health without your identity depending on it. The effort becomes its own reward, independent of outcomes. Consider how different life becomes when you master these practices. You wake up needing very little basic food, simple shelter, the ability to make choices. Everything else becomes a bonus, not a requirement. That promotion you're working toward? Nice if it happens, but not necessary for contentment. That person you're attracted to? Wonderful if they reciprocate, but not required for your well-being. That luxury car you've been eyeing? Enjoyable if you get it, but not needed for transportation. This isn't about lowering standards or giving up on dreams. It's about breaking the addiction to external things for internal well-being. When you need less, you suffer less. When you suffer less, you have more energy for what matters. When you focus on what matters, you often achieve more than when you were desperately grasping. The lawyer in Los Angeles noticed this paradox. Once he stopped needing wealth for security because he knew he could be content without it, he became more successful. Without desperation driving his decisions, he chose better cases, served clients more effectively, and found genuine satisfaction in his work. His voluntary poverty practice made him richer, both financially and emotionally. But there's an even deeper level to this practice. Once you've reduced your need for external things, you discover something remarkable. Happiness doesn't come from getting what you want or avoiding what you fear. It comes from something far simpler and more accessible. The secret lies not in accumulation but in appreciation, not in having more but in needing less. 5. The secret to being happy with nothing. A homeless man sits outside a coffee shop in downtown Boston, smiling as he watches the rushed morning commuters. A stressed executive passes by, talking frantically on 2 phones while checking a third. The homeless man chuckles and says to no one in particular, "That poor guy." The executive, overhearing this, stops in shock. How dare this man with nothing pity him, someone with everything. But who really has more? The executive, despite his wealth, wakes up anxious about losing it. He needs his status, his gadgets, his packed schedule to feel valuable. Take away his phone, his title, his bank account, and who is he? The homeless man, having already lost everything society says matters, discovered something the executive hasn't. When you need nothing, you have everything. This isn't romanticizing poverty or suggesting homelessness is desirable. It's recognizing a profound truth the Stoics understood. The secret to happiness isn't getting more of what you want. It's wanting less of what you don't have. And at the deepest level, it's finding joy in the irreducible minimum, the simple fact of existence itself. Seneca, despite his vast wealth, understood this paradox intimately. He wrote, "Every new thing excites the mind, but a mind that seeks truth turns from the new and superficial to the old and profound. He discovered what he called the highest pleasure, not the fleeting excitement of acquisition, but the deep contentment of needing almost nothing. When your happiness depends on very little can take it away. Think about the last time you felt truly content. Not excited, not triumphant, but deeply at peace. Chances are it wasn't while buying something expensive or achieving some external goal. More likely, it was a simple moment, a quiet morning with coffee, a laugh with an old friend, a sunset walk. These moments reveal something crucial. Happiness is available right now, requiring almost nothing external. A teacher in Phoenix discovered this after her divorce. Maria had spent years accumulating what she thought would make her happy. The perfect house, the right car, the designer clothes. When her marriage ended, she lost most of it. Moving into a tiny apartment with basic furniture, she expected misery. Instead, she found unexpected freedom. Without a large house to maintain, she had time for reading. Without expensive clothes to protect, she could hike without worry. Without the constant need for more, she discovered what had always been there, the simple pleasures of existence. A cup of tea became a ritual. A library card became entertainment. A sunset became an event. She realized she'd been so busy pursuing happiness that she'd missed it sitting right there, requiring nothing but attention. The Stoics called this preferred indifference, things that are nice to have but not necessary for the good life. Health, wealth, reputation, all preferred, none required. The only requirement for happiness, they argued, is virtue, living according to your values, regardless of circumstances. Everything else is optional. Marcus Aurelius, with all the pleasures of empire at his disposal, wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This wasn't empty philosophy, it was lived experience. During military campaigns, sleeping in tents, facing death, he found the same contentment available in his palace. The location changed. The inner peace remained. But how do we actually cultivate this contentment with less? The Stoics offered practical strategies. First, practice gratitude for the basics. Before seeking more, fully appreciate what you have. That glass of water? Billions throughout history would have treasured it. That boring meal is keeping you alive. That imperfect shelter? It's protecting you from elements that killed your ancestors. A nurse in Detroit practices this daily. Working long shifts in difficult conditions, she could focus on what she lacks: more money, more time, more recognition. Instead, she starts each day listing basics she's grateful for. Working legs to walk to work, functioning lungs to breathe, a mind capable of helping others. By the time she reaches the hospital, she feels rich. Not because she has much, but because she recognizes how much she has. Second, find joy in free pleasures. The best things in life aren't just free. They're often better than what money can buy. A walk in nature beats any virtual reality. A deep conversation surpasses any entertainment. A home-cooked meal with friends outshines fancy restaurants. When you develop taste for simple pleasures, expensive ones lose their appeal. Third, practice what Seneca called studying satisfaction. Instead of studying what you lack, study what satisfies you. Notice when you feel content. What were the actual requirements? Usually, they're shockingly minimal: safety, basic comfort, something meaningful to do, perhaps someone to share it with. Everything beyond this is luxury, not necessity. This approach reveals why entitlement makes us miserable. When you believe you deserve more than you have, you can't enjoy what you do have. You're too busy resenting its insufficiency. But when you need very little, everything extra becomes a gift. You shift from demanding more to marveling that you have anything at all. The ultimate Stoic insight is that happiness isn't a destination reached by accumulation. It's a default state obscured by false needs. Strip away the manufactured desires, the social comparisons, the entitlement, and what remains? The simple joy of being alive, aware, capable of choice. This baseline happiness requires nothing external, which means nothing external can take it away. A startup founder in Austin embodies this paradox. She works 18-hour days building her company, driven by vision and purpose. But she also knows that if it fails tomorrow, she'll be fine. Her happiness doesn't depend on success. It comes from the daily satisfaction of aligned effort, of working towards something meaningful. The outcome is preferred but not required. This mindset transforms how we handle setbacks. When you need very little can devastate you. Lost your job? You still have your ability to work. Relationship ended? You still have your capacity to love. Money gone? You still have skills and experience. When happiness comes from within, external losses can't touch its source. The secret to being happy with nothing isn't about having nothing. It's about needing nothing beyond what you can't lose: your character, your choices, your ability to find meaning in whatever circumstances arise. When you locate happiness in what's truly yours, no one can steal it. When you find joy in basics, you're always rich. When you need less, you have more. But this philosophy faces its greatest test when dealing with other people. It's one thing to find contentment in simplicity when alone. It's another to maintain that peace when others disappoint, betray, or attack you. How do we stay centered when the people around us seem determined to disturb our tranquility? 6. When people let you down every single day. Your coworker takes credit for your project. Your friend cancels plans for the third time. Your family member breaks another promise. Your partner says something cruel in anger. By noon, you've already been let down by 4 different people and the day's only half over. Welcome to the human experience, where disappointment is served daily and the people we count on seem determined to fail us. Most of us respond to these letdowns with a toxic cocktail of hurt, anger, and resentment. We feel entitled to better treatment. We deserve loyalty from friends, recognition from colleagues, and kindness from family. When people fail to deliver what we believe we're owed, we take it personally. Very personally. But what if this entire framework is wrong? What if the problem isn't that people let us down, but that we expect them not to? Marcus Aurelius had a morning routine that would shock modern self-help gurus. Instead of positive affirmations, he practiced what we might call negative expectations. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." This wasn't cynicism, it was strategy. By expecting difficult behavior, he wasn't surprised or disturbed when it appeared. A retail manager in Nashville discovered this approach after years of burnout. Jennifer used to start each day hoping her staff would be responsible, her customers reasonable, and her boss supportive. Every day, reality shattered these hopes. She went home exhausted, not from work, but from the emotional toll of constant disappointment. Then she tried the Marcus Aurelius method. Each morning, she told herself, today, employees will be unreliable. Customers will be unreasonable. My boss will be unsupportive. When problems arose, instead of feeling betrayed, she felt prepared. Of course this is happening, she'd think. This is exactly what humans do. Her stress levels plummeted. Her effectiveness soared. But Epictetus took this philosophy even deeper. When someone treats you badly, he argued, they haven't actually harmed you. They've simply revealed their own character while giving you an opportunity to strengthen yours. He taught, it's not the person who calls you names or hits you who insults you, it's your own conclusion that these things are insulting. This sounds like victim blaming, but it's actually about reclaiming power. When someone lies to you, they've damaged their own integrity, not yours. When someone betrays you, they've revealed their character, not defined yours. The harm only occurs if you agree with their assessment, if you let their actions define your worth. A software developer in Seattle learned this after a brutal performance review. His manager, known for playing favorites, gave him the lowest rating possible despite his excellent work. The old him would have spiraled into anger and self-doubt. Instead, he asked himself, what exactly has been damaged here? His skills remained intact. His work quality remains unchanged. His worth is undiminished. The only thing damaged was his manager's credibility. This shift in perspective doesn't mean becoming a doormat. You can still address poor behavior, set boundaries, and even end relationships. The difference is doing so from clarity rather than emotional reaction. When you stop taking others' behavior personally, you can respond more effectively. The Stoics understood that expecting people to act against their nature is like expecting a dog not to bark or rain not to fall. People will be selfish, it's human nature. They'll be unreliable, humans are imperfect. They'll disappoint you, they're managing their own struggles. Getting angry about this is like being furious that water is wet. But what about people we're close to? Surely we can expect better from family and intimate partners? Epictetus addresses this directly. When someone complained about their bad father and unjust brother, he responded, are you necessarily related to a good father? No, only to a father. Is your brother unfair to you? Don't dwell on his unfairness, but remember that he's your brother. This wisdom hits hard. We don't get to choose our family members' characters. We don't control whether our parents are wise, our siblings fair, or our children grateful. We're related to humans with all their flaws, not idealized versions we wish they were. A woman in Denver spent decades bitter about her emotionally distant mother. She felt cheated, other people had warm, nurturing mothers. Why didn't she deserve the same? Then she realized she was demanding something her mother couldn't give, like demanding a fish climb a tree. She stopped expecting emotional support that her mother couldn't provide. Instead, she appreciated what her mother could offer: practical help, financial wisdom, consistency. The relationship improved not because her mother changed, but because the daughter stopped needing her to be someone else. This principle transforms how we handle betrayal. When someone breaks your trust, traditional thinking says they've stolen something from you. But what exactly did they take? Your ability to trust wisely? That's yours to develop. Your judgment about character? That's yours to refine. Your choice to be trustworthy yourself? That remains untouched. Ultimately, the Stoic approach to disappointment is both realistic and empowering. Yes, people will let you down. No, you don't deserve better treatment just because you want it. But also, their behavior is their business. Your response is yours. Their character is their project. Your character is yours. When you truly grasp this, daily disappointments lose their sting. Your coworker taking credit reveals their insecurity, not your invisibility. Your friends canceling shows they're overwhelmed, not your unworthiness. Your family's dysfunction demonstrates their limitations, not your failures. You can address these situations practically without taking them personally. The freedom in this approach is immense. When you stop needing people to meet your expectations, you can actually see them clearly. When you stop taking their behavior personally, you can respond more effectively. When you stop feeling entitled to better treatment, you can appreciate good treatment when it appears. But there's one more piece to this puzzle. Individual disappointments are challenging enough. But what about when it feels like you're being singled out for special treatment? When it seems like everyone else gets the respect, success, and recognition you're denied? That's where entitlement reaches its most poisonous form. We've reached the end of our journey, but really, this is just the beginning. You came here believing you deserve things: success, respect, happiness, fairness. You thought life owed you something, and when it didn't deliver, you felt cheated. But now you know the truth: the universe doesn't owe you anything. And paradoxically, that's the most liberating news you could receive. Think about what we've discovered together. Everything external is on loan: your possessions, your relationships, even your body. You own only your choices, your responses, your character. Other people will disappoint you daily, not because they're evil, but because they're human. You're not special or exempt from suffering. You're connected to all humanity in shared struggle. And happiness doesn't come from getting what you want, but from wanting what you already have. Epictetus promised his students they could reach the feast of the gods not by accumulating more, but by needing less. Not by controlling others, but by mastering themselves. Not by demanding what they deserved, but by deserving what they received through acceptance and virtue. This feast is available to you right now, today, regardless of your circumstances. Your new deal with the universe is simple: stop demanding and start accepting. Stop feeling entitled and start feeling grateful. Stop seeing yourself as separate and start recognizing your connection to all life. This isn't resignation or defeat. It's the ultimate victory: freedom from the tyranny of unmet expectations. Imagine waking up tomorrow with this new perspective. Your coworker's rudeness doesn't ruin your day because you expected human imperfection. Your lack of recognition doesn't embitter you because you work for excellence, not rewards. Your challenges don't feel personal because you understand everyone faces difficulties. You're free from the exhausting burden of believing life should be different than what it is. This is what the Stoics offer: not a philosophy of giving up, but a philosophy of showing up fully without requiring specific outcomes. You can still work toward goals, build relationships, and create beauty. But now you do it from freedom, not desperation. From choice, not compulsion. From love of the process, not addiction to results. The ancient wisdom we've explored isn't just theory, it's practical medicine for modern life. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I deserve better," remember, you deserve exactly what you have, which is the opportunity to respond with wisdom, courage, and virtue. That's your true inheritance, and no one can take it from you. If this message resonates with you, if you're ready to trade your entitlement for empowerment, your demands for acceptance, your specialness for connection, then you're ready to walk the Stoic path. This isn't a journey you take alone. Join our community at Stoic Vivu, where we explore these ancient teachings and apply them to modern challenges. Subscribe to our channel, hit the like button if this video helped you see things differently, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Together, we can rediscover what the ancients knew: the good life isn't about getting what you deserve, it's about deserving what you get through wisdom, acceptance, and virtue. Remember, you don't deserve what you want, but what you have is exactly what you need to become who you're meant to be.